Hi everyone, John O'Knight here from Brisbane Bat Refurbishments. Just thought I'm going to take you through today. I've been having some questions come through from different parties asking what's involved with the refurb process. So I've got a bat here today. We're going to do a bit of a video here for you guys, a bit of a step by step. So this video will be in a couple of different parts, but to start off with, it's just going to be about removing extra tech, then we'll get into sanding, polishing, oiling, etc. after that. But removing the extra tech from the bat, we've got our bat here. Chris, the customer here, has asked me just to clean up the face of his bat. So we're going to remove the extra tech quickly. I've already started to peel it off before I hit play on the video. Key to removing extra tech is we want to be taking the extra tech across the grain of the bat. You don't want to be ripping the extra tech down the grain. It lifts up a lot of fibres and can leave big gouges in your bats. So basically from here, we just want it to be sliding the extra tech off the bat, and we'll be coming off sideways all the way along like so. I'm doing this nice and quick. Just here, we won't get the whole process on this part of the video, but then afterwards we'll get through and do the sanding. So as you can see, this extra tech's been on there for quite a long time. Bat hasn't been used though, and there's lots of glue still on this bat, so it'll take quite a bit of sanding to take it off. So there's about halfway done. As you can see, I'll just get a close up there. There's not many fibres coming out on the extra tech, and there's still no big holes in the bat. So if you decided to go up and down the grain that way, you'd have a lot of fibre left on the tech, and it would leave big holes in your bat. So join me for part 2, where we'll have all the extra tech off and we'll start sanding the bat. Cheers guys. Welcome back guys. We've taken the extra tech off the bat now, and we're just going into the final stages of prepping her before we get the sander out and get her going. Chris has asked me to leave this tape on the top because he's holding the shoulder together on the top of the bat. We do usually replace this type of things, but he said he only put this on last week, so he doesn't really think it's necessary to take it off only after being on for a week. So we'll leave that on just for today. Usually though, we would take it off in its entirety and put fresh tape on there if you so wish to choose. So we're going to be cleaning up the bat. As you can see, I'll get the nice close up here. You can sort of, fingers are really sticking to this bat. There is a lot of glue left on this bat. So when we have to get the sanding process, we have to start quite rough. We have to go right down in grit and really try and lift off all of the glue as we can, which will get rid of the discoloration between obviously where the tech was and where the bat was exposed due to the weather. So we're going to get that on now. We've got the towel around the top of the handle here. I've taken the grips off this bat, and it's just the binding underneath. Put the towel in there so we don't get all the sawdust and stuff on the binding, because in effect putting the grip back on may not be as stay on as well if we've got a lot of sawdust under there causing the grip to slip off, and also gives us a guide when we go all the way up to the top of the bat, so we don't sand through the binding, have to redo binding, etc. and stuff like that. So we're going to get it out here today. I'm just going to put the bat in the vise, and then we'll get started. So we've got the bat in the vise now. Starting today, we're going to start off with about 100 grit sandpaper to really attack that glue and get rid of most of the glue off there. After we've done that, we'll go up and make the grits a little bit less harsh. We go up to about a 150, then a 240, then a 300, then a 600, then a 1500 to finish right at the end. So we're really wanting to get this bat back to new and then give it that polished feel that you get, the polished look you get when you go to a Greg Chappell or a Keith Dudgeon or buying any new bat. That's our real aim, is to try and take these bats back to new and look as good as possible as we can for the buyer. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes guys. going to hold it there for a sec, guys. You can have a quick look how we're going along. Probably should have started with a stronger grit sandpaper, because there was a lot of glue on this bat, so I haven't quite taken it back to where it should be yet. You can see the discoloration from there to there, where this is still all glue that still hasn't come off yet. So just wanted to show you a quick close-up of how quickly we got to that stage. So I should have probably gone for a high grit sandpaper. I sort of underestimated the glue, but we can continue on with what we're doing here. We'll be able to get this off in a couple of minutes and it should be ready to go, and we'll then go on and do the edges respectively, doing the same thing. Chris has said he doesn't mind if the logo on the side of the edges disappears, which is quite alright, because it'll sand straight off. With some of your more burnt in bats like your SS's and such, where the burn on the side of the bat is quite deep, it'll obviously save them and stuff like this. One is very light and you can barely tell it. It's almost like it's just been drawn on. It has been burnt in, but it feels like it's just been drawn on. So we'll continue to clean this one up and we'll get back to you guys in a couple of minutes. Just to quicken things up, I am going to jump down a couple of grits and get a stronger grit sandpaper for you guys, just so we can cut the video in half here. So we had 100 grit on there now, so we're going to jump down to an 80 grit, which will really get the bat going and get us ready to where we need to go. There you go, guys. Taking it all the way back to basically, it's quite furry at the moment. At this stage, obviously, we've got quite a rough sandpaper going at the moment. So we're going to do the same thing now to the edges. So I'm just going to quickly turn the video off, do the edges, and we'll join back and do the rest of the bat and polish it up. Here we go, guys. So I've just done the edges there now. You can see we've taken all the ball marks and everything out of the edges, made a nice clean face. We've still got a little bit of the edge mark in there. You can still see the sawdust. I'm sort of just brushing off as we go along here. Now gets to the real key. We're going to start polishing the bat up. So we go up in different degrees of sandpaper. Here we use 6 or 7 depending on the state of the bat and how far we have to go down. Basically that 7th sandpaper is the one if we have to start like this bat here and really get that glue off and really strip the bat back to that. Like you can see, I'll get a nice close up there. You may not be able to see because of the light. I'll just get on the other side here. It is quite furry. This is in the natural state of the timber, so we're really trying to get it back to that original finish, and then we can go from there and start to polish it up and stuff like that. So I'm going to go up into the next stage now, so I'll do that quickly and we'll see you in a sec. there we go, guys. That's after just one bit of sanding. You can see now that it's nowhere near as furry as it was before. It's starting to take shape as if it was a brand new bat again. So we do this a number of stages. We go up in the grit of the sandpaper to make it nice and fine and nice and smooth towards the end. Not going to do each individual grit obviously, because otherwise we'll be here for forever and a day, and I've been talking for too long as is. So that's the next stage up. You'll join back in a couple of stages time, where we're getting towards the end of the bat, where we're getting into the final preparations. So I just spent a couple of minutes sanding that back for you guys, and it's, as you can see now, it's into that beautiful polished type state now. We do have one more thing to do. We do have to oil the bat, which I'm not going to do on film because oiling is a pretty simple process. We're obviously putting a couple of drops of, all I usually do is a couple of drops of oil onto the middle of the blade, roll it up and down a couple of times so you get that spread of the oil on the bat, and then simply just use my finger to oil in the face of the bat. Obviously not touching the splice, just doing any of the exposed areas around the bat while this. So as you can see, it's quite a nice finish it's got up there. Once you put the oil on there, it gives it that little bit more finish. Then we give it a final buff with a soft wheel, and that'll give it a beautiful sheen like you get any new bat. So hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.